Hi, welcome to taking a closer look at one of my guitars today. This guitar, this was made in 1997, and I got this particular guitar in on a trade from a friend that he had two PRS guitars, and he was interested in another guitar brand that wasn't commonly available, and I had access to those for a little while, and that was the Terry C. McInturf guitars, and I made a trade with him for one of those. Both very high-level guitars. This particular model from Paul Reed Smith Guitars is called the McCarty. This guitar was one of the original McCarty guitars. It has what they were referring to as the McCarty pickups. Stop tail wraparound bridge. The hardware on this is nickel plated. It was the result of a lot of information gathering between Paul Reed Smith himself and Ted McCarty, the man that used to be the president of Gibson Guitars. And Paul was interested in talking with him about all of the old procedures, methods on how Gibson used to make guitars in the old days, the original Gibson guitars, and the ones that when Paul Reed Smith was creating his company, which was earlier than this, those were the guitars that were sought after, the ones that couldn't be found any longer. The old 59 Gibson Les Paul. The Burst, as that is known as. Vintage guitars started because people were seeking out those old guitars because the main companies at that time, Fender and Gibson, had gone through some changes, and they were focusing on trying to be more productive, get more guitars out to more people quicker, more efficiently, and more cost effectively. So how can we make this and do it in a simpler way to make it less expensive for us to produce? Those were the tenets that they were going by at that time. When the vintage guitar phenomenon came about, when that started, people looking for the older guitars because they felt they were better. Paul Reed Smith started his company because of that. He also started it because he felt that a blending between the two iconic guitars, the Gibson Les Paul and the Fender Stratocaster, blending those two and trying to make one guitar that might be able to do a good proximity of both of those was what Paul Reed Smith was after. This doesn't quite represent that. This represents Paul going back another couple steps and researching with Ted McCarty how things were done. So they made the guitar thicker on the McCarty model when that first came out in 1994, was the first one. A thicker body. The body is a solid piece of mahogany neck, solid maple cap that is about, gosh, I haven't measured it, but this looks pretty thick. I'm going to say it's close to an inch thick at the whitest portion here. This has a deep carve, what they would be calling a deep carve today. McCarty pickups, which are humbucking pickups. This has a single volume, single tone. The tone does have a push-pull for a coil split deal, which wasn't a factor back then of the original humbuckering pickups. That wasn't something that was done very often. It does have the old style, I'm not sure, these don't have a name, Kluson style tuners, low mass type tuners, because these were all the things that kind of made up the original Les Paul guitars, except that they were a single cutaway, not a double cutaway like Paul Reed Smith prefers originally. All of his guitars were double cutaway. 22 fret neck instead of a 24, which is what he was using quite a bit of at that time in the early days of making his own personalized guitar. Indian Rosewood fretboard. This particular one, the early ones had the moon inlays, crescent moon inlays. Covered pickups instead of the uncovered humbuckers. And yes, there's a lot of machine work in making guitars nowadays, but these were the US made guitars, a lot more attention to detail, the fretboard, they have rolled edges, very, very comfortable, easy playing necks, kind of a medium fret wire used on these, not the real big jumbos, but not the real low ones that the original Gibsons were after either. So let me get an amp set up and we're going to do some tones. Okay, we're going to start off on just a basic clean setting. We'll start off on the bridge pickup. Both pickups combined. And the neck pickup. And now, back to the bridge split. This is going to have a pretty good volume drop. And then both pickups combined. Split. And the neck pickup split. Now, back to the bridge pickup with a little bit of gain. In the regular humbucking mode. Both pickups combined. And the neck pickup. Bridge pickup split. And I'm going to turn the volume up just a hair. Both pickups combined and split. And the neck pickup split. And then a little bit higher gain. Bridge pickup. Both pickups combined. And the neck pickup. Bridge pickup split. Both pickups split. the neck pickup split. So there's the sounds. This, when I got this, with the pickups that were specially created for the McCarty guitar, they were a little lower output pickups. This was my favorite PRS sound at that time. They changed pickups periodically, but this was my favorite. Gorgeous, gorgeous guitar. A beautiful flame top. And this was what they called the McCarty Burst. Everything about this guitar was Ted McCarty and Paul Reed Smith's fascination with him, and the way that they had made guitars in the old days. So I hope you enjoyed the review of this wonderful guitar. I will leave information down in the description about Paul Reed Smith and their contact information and things like that, their website basically. And they do have information specifically about their original research, what Paul was looking for. And I would suggest that you look at that. I'll leave a link to that area. Wonderful guitar. Paul Reed Smith guitars, I think, are one of the finest guitars made today. And I think they are consistently that way since they really started doing production guitars. And they're not for everybody. Some people like the single cuts, which Paul Reed Smith guitars do offer those now, which are more similar to the old Les Paul shape. I personally prefer the double cutaway shape. That's what I like in an electric guitar. Anyway, I thank you so much for watching. I hope you appreciated the review. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Click the little bell down there so that you are aware when I do post new videos, whether it be looking at one of the guitars in my collection, looking at one of the flutes from my collection, music video where I combine the Native American flute either by itself solo or with other instruments, guitars, the Rav type drums or tongue drums, keyboards, anything like that. Again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have an awesome day. Take care.